Hey crafty cuties, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. This week I found something super exciting at the dollar store, the Dollar Tree, I think, specifically. I'll put up a picture. The Dollar Tree, the one with the green sign. They sell yarn, and they sell like pretty decent yarn. Like, it's actually pretty good yarn. I have made sweaters with this yarn. It's really soft, and they sell cotton and they sell acrylic. But I was there, and this Dollar Tree, I'd never been to it before. They had so much yarn, first of all. Like, when I went last time, it was winter, and they only had like 5 colors, and they were all pretty dark colors. They weren't bad, they were just like fall wintry colors. But now, I guess since it's spring, they had some really, let me just show you. Look at this yarn. This is from the Dollar Tree. Look at these colors. First of all, this has to be the best color combo they had. Okay, my camera's having a hard time focusing, but maybe you can see the color is intertwined with the white. So one strand of yarn is going to be comprised of 2 different colors. And that's really cool. But not only that, all of these yarns have these little frayed tufts coming off of them. So the drawbacks of Dollar Tree yarn are not actually in quality. Like, it doesn't feel bad at all. Like I said, I've made sweaters out of it. The drawback is the size. These spools skeins are only 111 yards. But if you think about it, all that yarn back there, I don't buy bougie stuff. I buy like the Michaels brand, the Hobby Lobby brand, and that stuff will run you Hobby Lobby's $5, but if you go on a week where everything's 30% off, it's more like 3.5. And the Michaels yarn is, I think that one's more like 4, but you can usually get a 20% off coupon or a 40% off coupon, and then it gets down to either like 2 or 3. So when you think about it like that, those are maybe better deals when you get coupons, but without them, just buy 3 of these for $3. That gives you 333 yards, which is just slightly less than like the average of 350, which your standard spool from Michaels or Hobby Lobby will get you. And so today I'm going to test some of these yarns out. Unfortunately, there might be other color combos than these. These are the only 4 at my Dollar Tree. I would have bought more if they had them. Like, I bought all of the ones I saw, and it was these 4, and luckily they were all different colors. I want to go back there soon to see if I can find more. Now, I'm going to make a amigurumi. I'm going to make a stegosaurus pattern that I found for free on Instagram. I'll link the pattern and the creator in the description. But I'm gonna be using this yarn. I know I said it wasn't my favorite, but I think it'll be good for the stegosaurus. I know that this yarn with the puffs, it doesn't lend itself super well to amigurumi because like some of the puffs could end up on the inside, or you know, it's unpredictable, so it might be in a spot on your amigurumi that you don't want it to be. But also, I only have 1 spool of it. Like, I can't make a beanie, I can't make a scarf, I can't make a sweater for sure. If I had a doll, I guess I could make them a sweater, but I don't have a doll, and that's not my thing. So I'm just gonna make an amigurumi and see how that goes, and do kind of a little yarn review, see how this yarn works, because the colors are great. I don't know how the color changes go, because like I said, it's 1 color with different colors wrapped around like the base, which I've never seen yarn like that even. I don't look at the fancy yarn, so there might be stuff like that, but I think that's super cool. So we're gonna see how that looks as an amigurumi. This isn't a tutorial for the pattern, this is a review of the yarn. So I am going to cut, and I'll come back to you either once I have the stegosaurus done, or once I get to a point where I'm having some thoughts about the yarn. I'm going to be using the recommended hook size, which in case anybody is wondering is 5.5. In case anyone's wondering what the information is about this yarn that's found on the label, I'll put a picture of it up right here, and you can read that on your own. It's pretty standard yarn stuff, 48% polyester, 52% acrylic. So real quick, before I've started this, I want to just say that the pattern I'm using is called Kevin the Dino Free Crochet Pattern by Elisa's Crochet is the website. I'll link all that below. So I'm here with a little update about the yarn. first of all, this pattern is a lot bigger than I thought it would be, and I'm not quite sure I'll have enough yarn for it. One thing I would like to show you here, can you guys see that tuft of blue right there? Like, it's very obvious to me, because of course I know what I'm looking for, but that tuft of blue right there, that is a frayed piece of yarn. It seems like the core blue that the other colors are wrapped around, and part of it kind of got frayed and puffed up, but that's the only spot I've noticed it. It's not something I've run into with any of the yarn I've used before, so it's one thing to keep in mind, but it's not, it's only happened once. If I was gonna make like a garment with it, I might not be happy with that, but you could just cut that piece out and then work around it. Of course, that's not ideal, but it's not a deal breaker. Another thing I've noticed, you can see here where the little tufts are sticking out, and maybe you can tell like up here, this one right here, you can see it's a little dinkier, not quite as puffy. That's because on the inside of this piece, a lot of the puffs are on the inside, because as you work them, they kind of get squished between your stitches. And it's not a problem, because I've just been taking my needle, or even sometimes when I crochet into the stitch, it pushes it back out to just like get it onto the outside of my piece. And you could do that with a sweater or whatever you're working on. Of course, if you were to wash a sweater, I'm not sure how that would affect it. Yeah, I just don't know. I couldn't tell you. I would think it would be okay enough, because it just looks like they are little, it seems like the puffs are secure enough to where that won't be an issue in the integrity of your piece. But just to be safe, I would practice making a little sheet of it before, and washing that before you did anything major with it. I'm not gonna do that here today, because I'm not sure I'll have enough yarn for the rest of my Stegosaurus. I always think that, and then I typically have enough yarn, but there's been a few times where I'm like, I'm overreacting, I'll have enough yarn, and then it ran out. So I'm just holding out for a hero right now, because I gotta do 4 rows of 64 stitches and then continue to decrease and even further, so I'm not entirely sure I'll have enough for this whole piece. But you know, if you go to the dollar store, hopefully you can find more than one spool in each, one skein in each color, but I was not fortunate enough this last time I went. But like, other than that, like, it's not as soft as other Dollar Tree yarn that I've used. At least around my finger, it is kind of digging into it, as you can maybe see the indents from where the yarn is wrapped around my finger. But like, touching the piece itself, like this, once it's actually been crocheted, it is pretty soft. Not as soft as the Dollar Tree yarn I've used before. Maybe it has something to do with the two colors wrapped around each other, or just the blend. But the puffs, the little frayed bits, since these say flowers, I've been thinking them as flowers, the little flowery bits, they are quite soft and very nice to touch. And the one thing I have noticed is I did have to cut some yarn because it was 2 pieces that I joined in my pattern. But when you cut, the 2 strands of yarn that are wrapped around each other do kind of detach a tiny bit. It's not a big deal, because of course you have your starting end, but you just have to be conscious of the fact that they are going to detach a little bit, but later on it's not a problem. Like, I'm sure if you pulled at it they would separate, but they seem strongly attached to each other. One other thing is the color changes are pretty frequent, which is nice. Like, I like how often it happens, but because of that, if you are weaving in an end, which I'm not doing because it's amigurumi, but if you're doing a garment of some kind, or even just like a flat pot holder or anything like that, a blanket, if you had to weave in an end, I would have some concern for how well it actually blends in, because you might be crossing over to a color that's not there. And even if you're working like an orange into an orange, of course, like, they're not going to match up perfectly, and it might be a tad bit obvious. Of course, you could probably work around this by just carefully weaving or even just snipping off your ends instead of weaving them in. So it is much later in the night, and as far as I'm concerned, he is in a finished enough state for tonight. As you can see, I did run out of yarn. Like, if you've seen the pattern, you know he's supposed to be a stegosaurus and he doesn't have stegs, but it is very late, so I might do that tomorrow, but for now, I have done enough with this yarn to give you my opinions on it. And, of course, it's a small skein. I can't really count that against it, because it's Dollar Tree yarn. Like, it's $1 for yarn. It's the cheapest stuff you're gonna find unless you find something on mega discount. Working with this yarn was like working with any acrylic yarn, in my opinion. If you have trouble where you break the yarn a lot, it is kind of easier to do it on this. I don't really have that problem. I'm pretty good about keeping my yarn intact. I don't know if that's a problem some people have, but if you're worried about it, yes, it can be easy to get between the colors and split the yarn, but it doesn't split it in any horrible way. It doesn't become unusable. It's not like you can tell in the stitches where any place in it split. One complaint I could have is you can maybe see here that puffy stitch that I'm pointing at. See how that little blue thread kind of looks like a belt holding in that puffy light blue? That is kind of where I showed you earlier that the yarn got frayed, with the like base yarn got frayed and the other piece of the yarn stayed the same. It happened to me once again here on his neck, as you can see. But this is the entire skein of yarn. It happened twice. Like, I would not worry about that, especially since it has all these little flowery bits. Like, it kind of blends in more than it would if it was just a normal solid yarn. Also, I said it wasn't as soft as other Dollar Tree yarn, like that I made my sweater out of, and I think that is still true, but it is soft. Like, part of it is because I did make this guy squishy. Like, regardless, just this is a nice soft yarn, and part of that is because of the little flowers or the little frayed bits. Like, just rubbing your hand across it it's very nice. It's a very soft texture. And again, like I said, I don't know how it would hold up in the wash, but I think something like this to make a blanket out of, obviously you need a lot of it, but that's kind of to be said with any yarn you buy. And since this stuff is $1, if you can find enough of it to make a blanket, I would say, you know, it'd be a pretty good blanket. I don't know how heavy this stuff is. You know, yarn's always pretty heavy, or how prone to fraying it is because of the two-tone yarn in it. Like, I can look at this and see that it looks as sturdy and stable as any amigurumi that I've made. I don't think that, like, the yarn's gonna come undone just because it is multicolored. And, like, look at this pattern on him that was just made organically from using the yarn. Like, all these little orange bits and these dark blue bits, it looks like a globe. It's really, I am very much into it. I think visually this yarn is amazing. Like, this was my least favorite color, and I am still very pleased with this amigurumi. Once I add stegs, I'm sure it'll look even better. I don't have the most experience in different types of yarn. For the average casual crocheter, this is for crochet, not knit. I don't know what the difference would be because I don't knit, but I would definitely recommend this yarn. It is great for the price point, especially. All 4 color combinations I've seen of this yarn, and I'm not sure if I've seen them all because I've only been to the one Dollar Tree. I went to another that didn't have any yarn, but all 4 of these color combinations are really strong. It's definitely a different aesthetic that this yarn gives you, but it's one that I personally really enjoy. I think that this yarn provides something entirely unique. Like, I've never seen anything like it, and it's just so simple, like these little tufts, but it made me really excited. And the core being surrounded by different color, I'm sure it's been done, but for $1, I don't know. So if you have a Dollar Tree near you, I definitely recommend picking up some of this yarn while you're there. I think it would be great for a granny square sort of thing because it is such a small amount of yarn. or even if you got enough of it to make like a beanie, I think would be really nice, or even a sweater for when it eventually gets cold again, because I'm pretty sure this is a springtime yarn, so get it while you can. I know I'll definitely be on the lookout for it. Like, comment, and subscribe for more crochet-based content, and I'll see you in the next video.